Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a look at the top 21 worst Nintendo games of each year. For this list, we're naming off the worst games to come out every year between 2000 and 2020. Note that we're only counting games developed and or published by Nintendo. Which Nintendo games burned you badly? Let us know in the comments below. 2000, Mickey Speedway USA. It's arguably one of the most inoffensive titles on this list, but given the time this little kart racer came out, Mickey Speedway USA could have been a lot better. See, prior to this, developer Rare and publisher Nintendo had already given us two exceptional kart racers on the Nintendo 64, Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. Mickey and Company would borrow some elements from both titles, but didn't try hard enough to really distinguish itself. It also didn't help that the roster was so basic and small, and 3 of the 4 unlockable characters were Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which felt like you were unlocking the same character 3 times. 2001, Dr. Mario 64. Don't get us wrong, we'd be down for a game of Dr. Mario on any given day. Dr. Mario 64, on the other hand, is not the iteration we prefer. No, we weren't expecting next-gen graphics or anything, but they could have done a lot better with this game. Bland visuals aren't the only problems plaguing Dr. Mario 64, as the music lacks the same frenetic yet lighthearted pacing as previous games. Yes, it's the same Dr. Mario gameplay we've come to know and love, but for a supposed enhanced remake, this could have done a better job. 2002, Super Mario Sunshine. Please, don't get the pitchforks out just yet. Let us explain. Our criteria is that every year needs one bad game represented, and 2002 was a heck of a year for Nintendo. Metroid Prime, Animal Crossing, and Eternal Darkness were remarkable titles. But if we're being honest, we'd rather play those than Super Mario Sunshine. We like the different approach to 3D Mario with FLUDD and all. However, this isn't really the most polished Mario game, and the controls can get a little finicky at times. Still, that won't stop us from going for all the shine sprites again, after a few years pass. 2003, Pokémon Channel. When we spend our hard-earned money on a video game, we at least want it to actually play like a video game. Pokémon Channel seemed to have forgotten what format it was made on and thought we wanted to spend $50 so we could watch TV with Pikachu. Yes, the entire point of Pokémon Channel is to watch random Pokémon-themed programming with some occasional gags. The game was so void of any real content that it felt like you had unknowingly hyperbeamed your wallet in a blaze of glory. 2004, Pokémon Dash. Fair warning, this isn't the last of the Pokémon titles on this list. A Pokémon-themed racing game is the type of game we'd sign up for any day. Pokémon Dash could have been the start of a great spin-off series, and yet it went against everything that made racing games work. Controls were wonky, did nothing interesting with the DS's capabilities, and the entire game was an absolute slog to sit through. But you know what made the whole experience worse? Typically, racing games give you a diverse roster of characters to play as. Here, your only option is Pikachu because Pikachu is love. Pikachu is life, and no other Pokemon exists in the franchise. 2005, Nintendogs. Once again, we find ourselves in another year of solid Nintendo titles, but of them all, Nintendogs hasn't aged well. Admittedly, it's not entirely the game's fault. Father Time just hasn't been too kind to it, and it doesn't help when the games industry places such a heavy focus on making things look realistic. Nintendogs may have been a marvel back when the Nintendo DS first launched, but these dogs have seen better days. It's like revisiting a PS1 game and wondering where all those amazing graphics went. Also doesn't help that the later Nintendog titles would add more features, breeds, and animals. So, what reason is there for revisiting this one? 2006, Pokémon Ranger. We gotta hand it to the Pokemon franchise. It isn't afraid to try new things. However, we wish it would be a little more selective on which ideas to jump on. Pokémon Ranger was one of those games we absolutely didn't need, nor did we want. The entire experience is centered around drawing circles around a Pokemon without draining your energy bar. And that's pretty much it. And yes, it is incredibly tedious. Ranger seems to realize how minimal its scope and mechanics really are, as the game is only 10 missions long. Needless to say, this was absolutely not worth your time. (2007) Pokémon Battle Revolution.
Thunderbolt.
On the surface, Pokémon Battle Revolution seems to be a triumphant return for the Stadium spin-off series. My, how we were quickly disproven and utterly disappointed. Rather than making this a full-blown adventure like the Coliseum games, or replicating the formulas of Stadium, Battle Revolution acts more like an overpriced spin-off of the Diamond and Pearl games.
A smashing blow. Its speed fell.
Your options are to either take on one of the 11 Coliseums or go online and fight other players. Thing is, you kind of needed Diamond and Pearl in order to experience most of the game. If you didn't, you basically dropped $50 for a whole lot of nothing. So, what was really the point of this?
Singed by flamethrower. Taken down by an intense blow.
2008, Wii Music. If you want to know how bad Wii Music really is, we point you all the way back to the game's debut at E3 2008. Yeah, this game was about as disastrous as that. Attempting to capture the same success as Wii Sports, Nintendo tried making Wii Music, a music simulator, for lack of a better phrase. All you had to do was imitate the movements of playing a real instrument, and you'll sound like a real musician in very little time. Well, that was the idea. More often than not, you'd wind up sounding like Squidward tentacles. With a ludicrous price tag of $50, you may as well buy a real instrument and try to teach yourself. 2009, Wii Sports Resort. Honestly, 2009 wasn't a terrible year for Nintendo. Many of their Wii games, including Wii Sports Resort, became the best-selling titles of that year. Alas, we have to pick one to be the bad game, and Wii Sports Resort is arguably the least appealing of the bunch. Sure, it's got a hearty heaping of fun minigames, some returning from the previous game. However, the experience can be dampened quickly because of the required Motion Plus accessory. It wasn't rare for it to desync itself, which would cause the game to immediately halt and wait for you to recalibrate. Really, Wii Sports Resort is a fun game, but only when Motion Plus is working properly. Doesn't help that every part of the game requires it.
Nice chip for birdie.
2010. Grill Off with Ultra Hand. Oh, you've never heard of this game? Well, we wouldn't blame you. This was one of a few titles that were exclusive to Club Nintendo members, only purchasable by saving up enough points which could only be earned by buying Nintendo games. There were a couple of neat games that came through this service, but Grill Off with Ultra Hand was not one of them. Watch meat fall on one of these grills and grab them before they burn. Yeah, it's a really basic game with awkward controls, giving you no room for mistakes and demanding you be on top of your game. This simplicity was not worth the Club Nintendo points. 2011, 3D Classics Urban Champion. With the original game debuting in 1984, Urban Champion serves as one of the earliest fighting games in history. That doesn't mean it's a great game though. So why Nintendo remade it for the 3DS, we will never know. "3D Classics Urban Champions" was one of the worst games you could get on the 3DS, as it offered nothing outside of the system's novelty. It was just Urban Champion remade in 3D. It not only looked hideous, but it did absolutely nothing to evolve the IP. This could have been the chance to modernize the franchise. It may as well have been a lazy port, and even at $5, it's still overpriced. 2012, Nintendo Land. With the opening of Super Nintendo World in Japan, it looks like Nintendo has finally brought our childhoods to life. But back in 2012, Nintendo Land unfortunately failed. This experience wasn't all it was cracked up to be. While the handful of minigames were decent in their own ways, Nintendo Land gets stale pretty quickly, especially since most of these are more fun to play with friends. It doesn't really show off the Wii U's functionality all that well either. Of course, the obvious problem here is just how even with 12 minigames, the representation still isn't enough. No Star Fox? Not even a Kirby game? We would have rather had a virtual park to explore than just this generic hub of bland minigames.
Yoshi Kart.
2013, Mario Party Island Tour. By this point, the Mario Party franchise was floundering with every new entry, and Island Tour made it evident that the series was practically dead. Even though it didn't have that stupid car from Mario Party 9, Island Tour was like someone promising a pizza party only to serve stale crackers with cheese cubes and salami instead. Board designs were uninspiring, minigames were ho-hum, and somehow there wasn't any online play. Simply put, this was a party no one wanted to be invited to. Thank goodness Super Mario Party managed to breathe some new life in the franchise.
Finish!
2014, Chibi Robo Photo Finder. Life has not been easy for this adorable little robot, and as the years have gone by, Chibi Robo has faded into obscurity. If there was any entry that signified the death of the franchise, however, it was Chibi Robo Photo Finder for the Nintendo 3DS. Using the handheld's built-in camera and augmented reality capabilities, players must find common household objects and snap pictures of them to fit a specific outline. Sounds neat until you experience the various technical issues and pickiness of composition. Please, Nintendo, just give us a port of the first game so we can show what made Chibi Robo so great.
Yes.
2015 Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Over the past decade, Animal Crossing has become about as big as Mario and Zelda, making it ripe for some spin-off games. Amiibo Festival looked to be a solid Mario Party-esque title up until we realized just how critical it was to own amiibos. In order to play as certain characters, you'll have to buy their amiibo figures. This design choice is repeated across the other modes as well, meaning you'll have to spend more than $60 to get the most out of the title. And to think, they only made this game just to have Animal Crossing amiibo. 2016 Metroid Prime Federation Force.
The most elite members of the Galactic Marines were chosen and put through intense training to form what would become the Federation Force.
2016 marked 6 years since we last saw Samus, the last game being 2010's Other M, which is part of what made Federation Force even more infuriating. Rather than giving us a sequel or even a remake, Nintendo shelled out this multiplayer game for the 3DS. Much like The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, the entire game was designed around multiple players, making it impossible to play solo. The kicker here was that you don't even play as Samus, but as generic Space Marines. Reception for the game was so bad that it never broke top-selling charts and failed to outperform 3DS titles that were released prior. Might be safe to call Federation Force a total commercial failure. (2017) 1-2 Switch.
Quick Draw. Fire!
Had 1-2 Switch released as a game bundled with the Nintendo Switch, perhaps we'd be more forgiving and talking about a completely different game here. Alas, we can't change the past, and so here we are with this embarrassing $50 game. One-Two Switch was nothing more than a glorified tech demo, a collection of mini-games to demonstrate the Switch's technical capabilities. If only it was given more flavor and didn't focus so much on just the HD rumble and motion controls. We came here to play video games, not pretend to milk a cow with our friends.
One-Two Switch!
2018 Pokémon Quest. Towards the end of the 2010s, Nintendo started getting braver with attacking mobile games, as we'll see in a bit. Pokémon Quest wasn't anything too insidious with its monetization, but it was one of the most mundane. Feed your Pokémon food, send them on missions to automatically fight other Pokémon, occasionally tap on the screen to use their special abilities, wait for cooldowns, rinse, and repeat. Yeah, it plays exactly like dozens and dozens of other gacha mobile games from the last decade. The whole experience was so fatiguing that we had to use our best move to save ourselves. Player used uninstall. It's super effective. (2019) Mario Kart Tour. Now, if you want to talk about insidious monetization, this is by far the worst mobile game Nintendo has put out. Mario Kart Tour was supposed to be the pinnacle entry in the series. Finally, a legitimate Mario Kart game for our phones so we can race with our friends wherever, whenever. Only one thing: the game didn't launch with multiplayer. It does now, but its other problems still persist. This is Gacha, the mobile game, as you'll have to spend rubies in order to shoot pipes, which is your only way to unlock drivers, cars, and gliders. On top of that, exclusive content is locked behind exorbitantly priced paywalls. How greedy can you get? Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. 2020 Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
The graphics for all 3 games are now in HD resolution. Each game has also been optimized, making them smoother to play on Nintendo Switch.
Eesh, Mario's 35th birthday could have started a lot better. Consisting of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, the 3D All-Stars collection was on track to be everything we wanted until the blemishes started to show. For starters, 64 was stuck to its 4:3 screen ratio, Sunshine's controls were worse due to the Joy-Con's tightness, had its camera controls inverted, and had debug effects left in. Galaxy was the only one of the 3 that seemed to have benefited from the upgrades. Compared to collections put out by Konami, Capcom, SNK, and Bandai Namco, this was a collection made with minimal effort and care. And we suppose Galaxy 2 just never happened. Okay. In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.